With the Red Raiders' recent win over West Virginia, are their dreams of making a bowl game still alive? Can Minnesota be a Cinderella team in the college football playoffs and stun the Big Ten Conference? The Seattle Sounders are MLS Cup champions, but was that victory well deserved? With the Big 12 tournament over for Texas Tech, what is in store for them as they get ready for the NCAA tournament? Find out next. MCTV Sports 101 starts now. Hey there, sports fans, and welcome to MCTV Sports 101. I'm Austin Seat.
And I'm Ryan Heller. After a bye week filled with some bad memories, the Red Raiders went into Morgantown to wipe a bad taste out of their mouths. They did just that as they put a beating on the West Virginia Mountaineers 38-17. Tech got off to a great start by scoring on their first 5 possessions and didn't look back. So Austin, how were they able to do this, and is a bowl game still in reach?
Well, to answer your first question, how did they do this? I think after the loss to Kansas, I think the team woke up. I think they realized, hey guys, we can play better than this. We're better than most of these teams in this conference, and I think that they decided to do that against West Virginia and Morgantown. I mean, Jet Duffy, he was 24 out of 34, 354 yards and a touchdown, and it was an 81-yard to Dalton Rigdon, yeah, who had 3 receptions for 106 yards himself.
81 of those was on the one touchdown.
But what I want to point out is the way they won this game was I think what surprised everyone. It was the running. They did not beat it. It wasn't like, I mean, I think the combined, even with like Jet Duffy running the ball, I think combined they had 127 yards. But still, you had 4 touchdowns from the two running backs in Sir Roderick Thompson and Tayshawn Henry. So I think that's what got this game, or got them the win in this game. I think West Virginia didn't expect it. They thought Tech was just going to sling and gun it. And I think that after their loss to Kansas, they thought, hey, we can beat Tech now. Now, to answer your second question, do I think Tech can win a bowl game? If they play like this, I believe they can win a bowl game. They're up against TCU here at home next Saturday. Then they play Kansas as well, or Kansas State as well, and then they go out and play Texas. I think that they've got 3 games. They only need to win 2. I think they've got a shot.
See, what I loved most about Texas Tech last game was being clutch in the red zone. Touchdowns. 4 times in the red zone, 4 touchdowns in the first half. That is incredible. Now, Dalton Rigdon's touchdown, to me, is more impressive because it was 81 yards, but still, 4 red zone touchdowns, and their defense, something that we have not seen for a while in this university regarding football. West Virginia had 5 fourth-down conversion tries. They only converted 1. Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, 1 or 2 of those fourth-down conversions was in their red zone, and Tech was able to really play stout defense, which I really liked. And if they can continue that against TCU, I think that it's possible that they can win and then play well against Kansas State, possibly get to a bowl game. Yep. It is a long shot because they put themselves in a bit of a hole, losing to Kansas and the refs winning Baylor the game for them. So they got themselves in a bit of a hole.
Water under the bridge. Let's get past that and move on, shall we?
True. So they got themselves in a hole, but this is a good start in getting themselves out of it.
Yeah, I think we both believe Tech can make it to a bowl game. They've got 3 games. They only need to win 2.
2 of them are at home.
2 of them are at home. You are correct about that. But I do say we get all 3 and we beat Texas in Austin.
Yes.
And, well, more news in college football. The number 17 ranked Minnesota Golden Gophers pulled off a stunning upset this weekend as they defeated the then number 4 ranked Penn State 31-26. With the latest victory, Minnesota jumps all the way up to number 7, while Penn State bumps down to number 9. So Ryan, is it possible for Minnesota to go from unranked to being in the top 4 and playing the college football playoffs?
I didn't expect them to go from 17 to 7, but now that it happened, I think that they can, but a lot of things have to go right. For starters,
before you go into this, what position what number or ranking did you think they were going to get going for beating the number 4 slot?
I thought they were going to take Baylor's place at 12, and Baylor was going to get to like 10 or 9 or something like that. But to me, like I said, a lot of things have to go right. First off, Minnesota has 3 games. 2 of them, not only 2 of them are on the road, but 2 of them are going to be against top 15 opponents. You got Iowa on the road And then at Northwestern, that shouldn't be a problem. But then, even though it's at home, they still got to face Wisconsin.
Who's ranked 15 right now.
Exactly. And then they need to win the Big Ten Conference against Ohio State when Justin Fields is playing like a Heisman Trophy candidate. That is going to be tough.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like, a million things have to go right. But it is possible. I think they can do it.
It's going to be difficult. I think it's going to be difficult for the committee to decide whether they should be in the top. Like, if they do end up winning out and going to the Big Ten Conference and potentially beat Ohio. See, this is what, and I've told you this before. This is why I think they need to go to an 8-game slot, or at least for the top 8, because that way, like for stuff like this, you have
Cinderella teams.
Yeah, exactly. Cinderella. You have Minnesota, who just beat a top 5 opponent at that.
Yeah.
Penn State had a real shot going into that. Not only the conference championship against Ohio State, but also to the Final Four in the college football playoffs.
Yeah, because in 2 games, Penn State was going to face Ohio State, and that could have possibly, like opened some doors for them.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's
it's not like LSU, Alabama, where, let's face it, Alabama didn't play their best games, but anyway, back to the story at hand. Do I think that they can be a Cinderella team and make it to the finals? Absolutely. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not, with the way that the design is set up. So if the committee is watching this, which they're probably not, but if they are, move it to an 8-game slot. You should have done that from the beginning. Make it fair for a lot more teams.
Because also what I liked was that Minnesota's Tanner Morgan was clutch, 339 yards, 3 touchdowns to 3 different receivers, whereas Sean Clifford, 3 interceptions, including 1 late in the last minute of the game.
That's not what you want out of your star quarterback.
You can't do that, Sean. But we will see how that will go down.
Yes, we will.
Yesterday, the Seattle Sounders defeated Toronto FC 3-1 to win the MLS Cup. This was their second MLS Cup in the last 4 years. However, it took some questionable calls and controversy officiating to do so, starting when Kelvin Leerdam's deflected strike found the back of the net in the 56th minute. That was started by the potential foul by Christian Roldan on Jonathan Osorio, a play which led to the Sounders making the opening goal in transition. Austin, what's your take on this whole game and that?
First of all, for at least a half, for 45 minutes, it was a pretty, what we expect out of a championship level caliber game, especially for soccer. Now, I mean, Leerdam's goal in the 50th, I think you could call it controversial, but I think it opened a lot of doors for Seattle, and it brought the momentum over to Seattle's side because, I mean, at the top, and here's some. Both teams had 14 shots towards the goal. I think there was 3 on target for Seattle, 1 on target for Toronto FC, but there were particularly a lot of fouls in this game. I think the Sounders beat Toronto FC with 1 extra foul. They had 9 compared to Toronto's 8. Both teams, but 1 player on each team did get a yellow card. So you could call it some controversial officiating, but all in all, I thought it was a good game, and I thought Toronto never gave up on the play with Aldo Torre scoring that last one in the 90th in the extra time in the 90th minute.
Which, by the way, I think that he should have started. I think that this game would have gone a lot differently if he had started.
He didn't start?
He did not start.
Oh,
Which shocked me. It shocked me. I didn't know that until yesterday night, and I was like, what the heck? He didn't start?
Yeah.
You have someone who's played for the U.S. World Cup team as a starter, and he isn't starting for your team in the MLS Cup?
Well, we could get into a lot of decisions where players who've made great plays in the past do not start for a particular game. But we will not go into there. Anyway, moving on. So I thought it was a great defensive effort by both teams. I mean, Toronto, they had more time of possession than Seattle, but Seattle was able to capitalize. What was your take on the game?
I mean, to me, that was the whole thing. I think that Altidore should have started, but B, also I think that, I mean, let's face it, this isn't the first time in a championship game in any sport that the game has been altered by some questionable calls by.
Nor will it be the last one. Nor will it be the last one. So let's get that straight.
So it's not the first time this has happened. Will be the last. But I watched some of the game. I watched some of the highlights, and it did look to be. It did look questionable. It did, but it didn't look like it was intentional.
No.
The foul to me, and then of course Toronto did hurt themselves in that first goal to give Seattle the momentum because it was deflected off a Toronto FC player's knee to hit the goal. So it's not like they still have no one to blame but themselves on that one. He should not have tried to back out of it and stuff like that. He should have just tried to let it go, and I'm pretty sure it would have been saved.
Well, the one thing about soccer is you have to take your opportunities when they're available. That's whether it's in the MLS and our American League or in like Premier League or different leagues over in Europe, especially even in Champions League. But yeah, I agree with you. I'm going to agree with you 100% on that. Well, after an impressive win over Baylor in the first round, the Raiders fell short to TCU 2-1 after the game. Coach Tom Stone said, "While they're obviously devastated, this team has a bright future ahead of it this season. We can play anybody at any time. We hope to play at home in the first game of the tournament, but no matter where we are, this is a team that is ready for the tournament play. Today, there will be a selection show to see where all teams, including Tech, will be playing and who they play against. Will Tech host a game in the first round, and how far will they go?" Ryan, what's your take?
Well, as a Red Raider, I do hope that they go far. I think they can go far. I think that they can,
especially after last season with the basketball team making it to the championship.
You never know.
We hope that for all our teams.
It's the momentum. I'm telling you.
Once one team brings success, it trickles down into the others.
So basketball, soccer, then football. Hopefully.
Okay, now let's talk.
I think that they can bring back those days of 2014 when they made it to the Sweet 16, could have possibly gone farther. I think that they can relive that. I think that they do. I think that, yes, they didn't win the Big 12 tournament, but even though I do think that they put themselves in a good enough position, they did win a round. They did play tough against TCU, even though they lost. I think that they put themselves in a position to host a first game. I think they have put themselves in that position. But either way, I do think, whether they host or not, I do think they can go far because Tech has shown that they are resilient, they're tough, they're gritty, and they're aggressive. And also, Madison White is, yes, she had a bad game against TCU, but besides that, she's basically been playing out of her mind. I do think there's a chance. What do you think?
I agree with you. I do think there's a chance I think the committee will look at Tech's record. I think they only lost once in the regular season.
I believe they have one loss and I think 2, maybe 3 ties, if I'm not mistaken.
But 15 wins, which is impressive in soccer. Yeah. So I think the committee will take that into consideration. But what I find funny, what I also think they'll take into consideration is who they lost to. So the one loss that they did have was against TCU back in the regular season.
Conference opponents.
Yep, now lost again in the fun. Miss Haar, she scored Tech scored pretty quickly in this game. They scored before the first minute, even they scored in 53 seconds.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, it was 53 seconds, so before the first minute. But TCU, they didn't let that phase them, and they were able to score in the 38th and the 66th minute. Tech, you can't blame them for trying. They had 21 shots, 7 were on target. Compared to TCU's 10 shots, with only 2 on target, but it was the 2 that counted. I think it's the 2 that counted the most. And you got to give credit where credit is due to TCU's goalie, who had 6 saves on the day.
And they are a 6th seed that actually made it to the final match. That's pretty impressive.
Are they playing Oklahoma or Oklahoma State? Or are they playing?
I believe it's Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
But for a 6th seed to get to the final
that's rare, folks. That is very, very rare.
That's pretty tough to do, so I got to applaud them for that.
Yeah, you have to applaud them for that. But I do think that the committee will look into both the Big 12 tournament and the regular season, and I do believe we'll get a home game at least for the first round of the NCAA tournament.
We certainly hope so.
Yep. Well, now it's time for Who You Got. And before we start, our records, man, you're beating me by 1. I've got 6-6, you've got 7-5, so I'm hoping I can pass you up in this round.
We'll see.
To start off, we have the 49ers versus the Seahawks on Monday Night Football. Ryan, who you got?
This is a coin flip for me.
You have the undefeated 49ers versus the 7-2 Seahawks.
You know what? I think I'm going to go with the Seahawks. I think I am. I don't know. I've always liked Seattle. Plus, also they're top 10 in scoring, top 10 in yards per game, and top 10 in pass yards and rush yards. And I love what I've been seeing from Chris Carson. He has been playing out of his mind.
Yeah.
Running back, coming off a 1,000-yard season. He's already got over 700 yards right now rushing. And also Russell Wilson. If not Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes, the MVP or Christian McCaffrey.
He's in the lead right now for the MVP, for the
Russell
MVP,
Wilson could
and
very
there's still
well be the MVP.
at least half a season to go.
Exactly. So I think that, to me, if anybody can beat San Francisco and break their streak, and if anybody knows how to beat this team at San Francisco, it's Seattle, so I'm going to pick Seattle. What about you?
I'm going to go against you, and I'm going to go with the 49ers. Now, I will say this. This is probably the toughest opponent that they have, up to now, that they have had on their schedule.
Oh, by far.
There's 2-0 in their division, but it was against what's been a lackluster LA team coming out of that Super Bowl appearance, and then the Cardinals, who are surprising people. They are surprising people.
Surprising me.
Yeah, they're surprising you. They're definitely surprising me. But as far as that division, I would have to. They're at the bottom of the totem pole, give or speak. So, but I would say this is the toughest opponent that they're going to face. And while I do agree with you that out of any team in their division, Seattle's probably got the best shot, I think that the 49ers are going to come out on top. Huh? Albeit while this is their toughest game of the year so far.
Yeah, so far. But it will get worse.
Yes, it will.
Up next in the NBA, Pascal Siakam and the Toronto Raptors face off against Kawhi Leonard and the LA Clippers in Los Angeles. Austin, who you got?
This is an easy one for me. I've got the Toronto Raptors winning this.
It's an easy one?
Yes, this is an easy one for me. I got the Toronto Raptors winning this one. They've been playing very good after their championship victory coming off last year against Golden State. Kawhi did end up going to the Clippers, which is devastating for the Raptors. But I think they're gonna be nice. They're gonna be humble. They're coming. But I think they're going to use this as revenge to Kawhi for leaving them, and I think the Raptors are going to win this one.
See, that's where you and I differ. I'm going to go with the Clippers. I think the Clippers are just, to me, not only is Kawhi playing incredible, he's playing like the all-star that he is, and like the Finals MVP that he is, but also what I like is how the role players are stepping up. Mm-hmm. Your players like Lou Williams, multiple time Sixth Man of the Year winner, so he's doing well. Montrezl Harrell, a former Rocket, really coming into his own, forming his own identity, really becoming a possible rising star in this league. And also Pat Beverly, who is, in my opinion, he's the biggest defensive pest in the NBA as far as defense.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that one. I'd argue a case for him on that one.
Which, by the way, Houston Rockets, you should not have traded him. Why? Anyway, but I digress. But
we need to get you this Houston train for you, brother. We got to calm you down with this.
Oh, hell no. Hell no. Not going to happen.
Well, it's going to be a good one for the NBA.
I do.
Well, up next, there's a busy week in the Premier League with an 8-game rundown. One of those games is between Manchester City and Chelsea, who are both in the top 4. Ryan, who you got?
You know what? I'm going to go Chelsea.
You're going to go Chelsea.
I'm going to go Chelsea. I think that they're getting hot at the right time, and also they're playing good with defense considering Kepa. 20 saves in the year, 3 shutouts, which means that pretty dang good. And also Tommy Abraham is playing on fire. Tommy Abraham, 10 goals already, 20 shots on goal, which means he's aggressive. Which means he always tries to get after the goalie, which I like, because if you're hesitant, if you're conservative on that, and you're just passive, you're not gonna
get that win, baby.
You're not gonna do well in soccer if you're not aggressive. You got to be aggressive, and I like that what he does, and I think Chelsea is a more complete team, so I'm gonna pick Chelsea.
Well, let me go ahead and give you the top 4 table. So you have Liverpool at number 1. You have Leicester City at number 2. Chelsea's at 3, and Man City is at 4. Now, for those of you who do not understand soccer, you have to be in the top 4 to qualify for the Champions League next year. But as for my pick, I'm going to agree with you.
Really?
I'm going to agree with you on Chelsea. I think they are the more complete team. They're coming off a roll, and they're tied with Leicester City right now for the second spot with both being at 26 points apiece, and with Man City also right behind them at 21. Liverpool's at 34, but there's still plenty of soccer in the Premier League to go around, so there's still a lot, and everything could change. Remember, win, 3 points, tie, 1 point, loss, nothing. So I'm going to agree with you on Chelsea. I think they are the more complete team. Their strikers are going for it. They're taking risks. They're taking shots on goal. So they've won their last 5 games. So. Where compared to Man City, who's won 3 out of their last 5, and then Leicester City, who's won 4 out of their last 5. So I'm going to have to go with Chelsea on this one.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, one of the few times we actually agree on something.
You might actually get a win because of that.
That's a mean one right there, I'll tell you. Hey,
Yeah,
I was right about Kentucky beating Michigan State.
Who was right about Bama and LSU?
Who was right about the Nationals in Houston. Okay, let's move
Anyway.
on before I get myself beat up here.
Up next, we have the Browns versus the Steelers on Thursday night. Austin, who you got?
My uncle is not going to he's a big Steelers fan, and he's not going to like me for saying this. I'm going with the Browns.
What?
I'm going with the Browns. I
Oh
think
my God.
after the win against the Bills, I think that they're coming on strong. They want to make that playoff appearance. They want to do it for Browns Nation and the city of Cleveland. I'm going with the Browns for this one.
Well, the Steelers didn't fail me the last time I picked them, and they're not going to fail me again. I'm going to pick the Steelers.
They almost did, my friend.
They almost did.
Almost.
Almost only counts in horseshoe.
Folks, I don't know if y'all watched that game. I turned that game on, and I saw 14-0. I'm like, oh, this is my moment.
And then God just started to like me, I guess.
And then God said no, and then Jesus came down, killed the Satan dolphin, and the Steelers came back and won. So I was upset about that.
Well, see, to me, what I am impressed with the Steelers is a 4-game win streak without Ben Roethlisberger. Mason Rudolph.
Well, to be fair, they've been doing a lot without Ben Roethlisberger, who had that Tommy John surgery.
Yes.
So,
And you remember Mason Rudolph, Oklahoma State Cowboy, that always gave us fits. But I like what he's doing.
He didn't at the end of his career. I'll say that. He didn't have at the end of his career.
But I like what he's doing with Pittsburgh. And also James Conner is impressive right now. Juju Smith-Schuster is playing like he is the star other than Antonio Brown. He's saying to the league, I can be that star receiver, and he's showing to be that. Plus, they got a stout defense, top 10 in points scored, and top 10 in sacks. They got 33 combined sacks. I like what I'm seeing with Pittsburgh, and I think they're going to take down Cleveland.
It's amazing what happens when you get a Watt brother on your defensive line.
Imagine, good things happen with Watt. What's up with that?
That is probably one of the worst puns I think you have said on this show, but anyway, well, that's our show for this week's edition of MCTV Sports 101. Join us next week for the latest big-name stories in sports. I'm Austin Seat.
And I'm Ryan Heller. See you next time.
You got it, my friend.